Good evening, everyone. I hope you're most well. You know, we have interesting news coming out of Oxford, and here it is. Here it is. The Junior Dictionary no longer includes the following words, and acorn, adder, ash, beech, bluebell, buttercup, catkin, conker, cowslip, all these wonderful words. Otter, newt, pasture, heron. And the replacement words are block graph, blog, broadband, bullet point, celebrity, chat room. I thought it was a joke. I really did. I thought that the natural world always held import. You know, that it was sort of the base that we work from. So that was rather, you know, disheartening just to see that. Like, why would that be? Why would that be? You know, there's a lot of odd stuff kind of about Waldorf. Here's like a Waldorf painting. But one thing I appreciated about teaching there was the sort of rootedness in nature. You cannot have a Waldorf school unless you have a garden. You have to have a garden. You have to have like all these wild, crazy things, you know? And, you know, here's like a very sort of Steiner-esque piece of furniture, you know, kind of just sort of very, very sort of beautiful. There was another kind of interesting, here's a place in Switzerland that's Steinerian. The Swiss seem to be like that just naturally anyway. But, you know, they've got places in the tropics and all over. There's all kinds of funny groups like this, right? But look at all their funny buildings and little fruits and vegetables. These kind of fun little, almost troll people. Yeah, I was looking at Costa Rica. They also do grow things on different color wheels. They'll grow things you can dye clothes with that are on these color wheels. So, as nutty as they are in some ways, I really appreciated the sort of dedication to plants, to the natural world that was offered. I'm so bummed. That was like the coolest picture like a little while ago, and of course now I cannot find it at all. But he had something called like biodynamic farming and just really cool stuff. So you know, what is real and what isn't real just played such a huge part in the development of the mind, shall we say. Okay. And you know, sadly, we found out this week here while I was, you know, kind of getting ready to, you know, do things on what is real and what isn't real. And here we've got Buffy St. Marie. I thought this was a good pick, the one of her clothes, because we found that she isn't who she says she is. So this kind of sums it up. But maybe some of you I would think most people would know who she was, but maybe some of you are like really young and don't know. But she was a 60s icon, you know, right up there with Bob Dylan and, you know, she wrote, you know, Universal Soldier, which was what people sang in the 60s when they were protesting. So she was, you know, this big deal. And I even, like, I don't know, in going through pictures, there was even a picture of her meeting the Queen. So this is someone who really got around. And they just found out she was also a regular on Sesame Street. And, you know, I'm so afraid to play stuff because of copyright and everything, but on Sesame Street, she was kind of a regular, but on one of the shows, she's saying, you know, it's important, you know, there's real Indian tales and there's fake Indian, and I'm a real Indian, and I know what being Indian is. And actually, here's one of the guys she was married to, and I guess, did he write like the theme from The Exorcist or something? He kind of was. There's like that picture of him. Here he is here. So he was kind of a big songwriter. Here he is, probably early 60s, and then here he is probably after having acid and cocaine and weird things introduced into his life. But it was just found out that that Buffy has no native in her at all. Zero zip. And that she's English and Italian. Sorry if I'm scrolling too much. I was trying to find like a super early pic of her, because the really early pics of her, she does not look as Native American, and I'm wondering if she like was actually getting plastic surgery, you know, if there was, you know, I'm a pretendian. That's what the Native Americans, or as they call themselves, natives, are saying. Yeah, here she is on Sesame Street, and yeah, telling everyone, you know, you got to know what's real. So it's sort of funny in a way. I mean, being a chameleon or whatever is part of being in the natural world. I guess she's like Italian and English. But what's funny is the Native people are upset because, you know, all the little girls bought her albums and, you know, made her rich, right? Who made her rich? Who was buying all her stuff, right? Like teen girls. So they're angry. They feel really ripped off. They're wondering if she was grabbing all the grants and stuff that maybe a real Native American person could have gotten. But I told like a Marxist that I know, right? Like a progressive, because I always know that they have like weird reactions to things. And what they said was, what he said was, you know what? It doesn't matter if she's Native American or not. It's that she brought public awareness to Native American culture. You know, so I find there's something interesting about the left and about what is real and what is true. And am I being too hard on the left? And maybe if I was like raised to the right and I got all this right stuff, I'd be going crazy. But right now they're sort of the ones in charge, and it's weird that what they're deleting is what is real, right? They're deleting reality. So that's kind of fascinating. And that brings us to Olympia. I don't know if people watched very far into the Olympia cruise, but kind of deeper into it. Here's one of our Olympia inhabitants, and I've talked to so many social workers. Social in front of everything, right? Socialist, social worker, social disease, socialist, social studies, social sciences. That really got pushed on us. And they all say, if you call these agencies, which I have, what they say, all of them, no resources. We just don't have the resources. And by saying that, that's the magic shut up line. Now, what's fascinating is, now, how do you like that little smile? And you like the little wine background there? Okay, now we went from sad person to smiling person. Smiling person was in the paper today. This was a today. This is fresh off the press. Okay, it's the 29th. It's the 31st now. Sorry. I saw it today. And she is, it's funny because I call all my videos Little Venezuela, don't I? Many of them have been called Little Venezuela Utopia. As we know, Venezuela went from being a normal, happy country to eating rats overnight because of having Olympia type politics. So it's like, why is the refugee coming here, right? This is, and anyway, it's got all the, and the Thurston County Resettlement Manager for World Relief Western Washington. I wonder how much Yanez gets, because there was a woman who drove around and did all of the refugee resettlement stuff, and boy, is there money in it. A lot of these people rake in, there were people raking in $5 million a year for these things. So this World Relief Western Washington, we should look that one up. That one is going to be interesting. So once again, no resources for you, but full rent paid and everything. And these resettlement things are like, they're just a huge scam. And some are through churches, some are through, Marxist, atheist groups, but everyone seems to have their hands in that pie. And you see it in little cities, big cities. The Lutherans are shameless, the Catholics are shameless, the Marxists are shameless. Okay, now here again, we're told there are no resources, but here it says Washington State must pay rent for sex offenders. Okay, they're gonna pay rent on a Lakewood home for a sex offender. That was in the paper. And then I found this was interesting, that the Sex Offender Policy Board, that must be a fun group. Sorry about my computer. It looks really filthy. Oh my God, I've got to clean it. The animals jump up on something right above my computer, so it's always like I'm always having to wipe it down. Sorry. A study conducted by Washington State. Okay, they're saying that sex offenders who receive housing vouchers commit fewer and less violent crimes. So I wonder if now they're going to get at the top of the housing voucher thing, where they're like, I get to have it before anyone else because, I could, be offending, right? So, you guys had better, give it to me. We had Ukrainians last month in the paper. It says that she's the first, and it says we're going to be bringing in as many as possible. And she also gets enough money so she can send money back. She sends money back to her home country. All right? So, hey, apartment. She's going to open up a restaurant or something. Wine racks. Everything she ever wanted. Plane tickets. food, the whole 9 yards. And again, nada. And you might say, okay, that person's a drug addict, they're blah, blah, this person's like more on the ball. But you know what? I have seen, and when I started filming, and I used to actually interview homeless people, like I used to actually like do that. I should put some up. Most of them are on a different format, so I don't have them up. But so many of those people were, there was one guy who just telecheck. He ended up like just getting, like his check came late and then everything bounced, and then he became homeless, but he was still like a soldier up at Fort Lewis, right? There are just like a ton of people who are just senior citizens or disabled or, all kinds of different problems. And, even if they are like super, like whatever, like what people don't like scourge, like, oh, they're, mentally ill, or, oh, they're, drug addict, whatever. Still, these are our people in our country, and they're getting zero resources, and everyone else in the whole world, I don't know, are they going to empty the whole world into like, Olympia? I mean, it's utterly bizarre, so that is something that bothers me greatly about the left, is the intellectual dishonesty. 1 minute it's the land of milk and honey, and we can bring everyone over here. And I remember like going to meetings where people were talking about resettling Palestine here, let's just bring everyone to Olympia, and then at the same time you're like, well, what about these people who are like, living in tents and stuff, and downtown? Oh, well, I'm sorry, but there's no resources, like there's nothing. So there's just a very interesting, on one hand, we're the land of milk and honey, we're gonna do everything we can, it's easy, you can even send money back home, sex offenders, yep, we'll pay their housing, whatever. So yeah, it's kind of creepy out there that way. And you don't get a straight answer from the left. Do we have everything and we can have everyone come here? Or do we have nothing and no resources? Just tell me, which one is it? Much love.